Hello and welcome back to Cult Leader. I'm your cult leader, Spencer Henry, and today we've got a little bit of a different setup going on. Okay, we've moved corners in the cult compound. Some really exciting news. Normally I'm sitting over there. Today I'm sitting over here. If you're not watching and you're just listening, you're just gonna have to imagine what that means. But I felt like switching it up today. No particular reason. Just different vibes. Speaking of vibes, today's episode has crazy vibes. Crazy written all over it. We are going to be gabbing about a few different cases I stumbled upon while researching for the show. It started with one case, led to another, and, here we are. I noticed they all had something in common when I was reading about these cases. All centered around fed up women using their own, let's say, personal styles to asphyxiate the men in their lives. And I mean, I already knew this a little bit, but there's a whole variety of ways to suffocate someone, cult babes. And turns out you don't even need an amazing reason to do it, except just being absolutely done with somebody. Sometimes that is the reason. You'll see what I mean as we get into it. Well, we're going to kick things off with the story of a woman whose name is honestly too good for this situation. On March 18th, 2018, 44-year-old Wendy Thomas from Erie, Pennsylvania, was having one of those nights. And by one of those nights, I mean full-blown drunken disaster in the making. She wasn't just sipping on a wine cooler and calling it a day. No. Our gal Wendy was heavily drinking, okay? Think slurring your words, you can't stand up straight. I don't know who you think you are levels of drunk. But wait, there's more. As if the booze wasn't enough to unwind, Wendy allegedly went out on a mission looking for some crack. Okay? Yeah, girl. What a night. What goes better with a six-pack than an ounce of crack? That surely won't lead to anything strange for the evening. According to reports, Wendy went out, she looked for the crack, she couldn't score, much to her dismay. But regardless, this failed little drug hunt, this scavenger hunt, this crackenger hunt, didn't stop the wrath of Hurricane Wendy. She went back home to her apartment that she shared with her boyfriend at the time, Keno Butler, and somehow the night escalated from bad to tragic. The couple gets into just a full-blown domestic brawl that evening. According to court documents, during the fight, Wendy grabbed a folding knife and stabbed Keno in the hand, which, not a great start, but she wasn't done yet. She found a table leg, not just any table leg, but one with bolts sticking out of it, and proceeded to batter him over the head with it. But the part that really stunned everyone, the reason this case has become so infamous and there's been so much chatter around it, is Wendy's finishing move, if you can even call it that. It was her collapsing onto Keno's upper body. And I don't mean a gentle fainting. She smothered him to death. Keno, poor guy, he wasn't exactly built like John Cena, okay? He was around 120 pounds, with Wendy, on the other hand, clocking in at around 300 pounds. And after all that chaos, Wendy didn't try to run. She didn't try to cover it up. She called 911 herself and flat out told the dispatcher, plain as day, I killed my boyfriend. Police show up to the scene. They found Keno's body. He's dead in the living room. They found that bloody table leg with bolts in it, just lying there like a prop from a fucking horror movie. And Wendy was arrested on the spot. And as you'd expect, she got slapped with a whole list of charges, including aggravated assault, reckless endangerment, possession of an instrument of crime, and criminal homicide. Medical examiners later confirmed it wasn't the knife wound to his hand. It wasn't the blunt force trauma to his head that killed him. It was a brutal combination of respiratory insufficiency secondary to blunt force trauma to the neck and thoracic compression, exacerbated by blunt force trauma to the head. Translation: Wendy literally crushed the air out of him with her body, and the knocks to the head didn't help. But here's where things took a turn. Instead of going through a full-on trial, Wendy cut a plea deal with prosecutors. She pleaded guilty to third-degree murder, which, for those unfamiliar, means it wasn't premeditated, but there was still malice involved. No oops accident defense here. In exchange, the prosecutors dropped the other charges, and Wendy ended up getting 18 to 36 years in state prison. Technically, the max for third-degree murder could have been 20 to 40 years, but this plea shaved a few years off the top. Wendy's court-appointed attorney, Mark Del Duca, tried to spin it like a win for everyone, saying, "It's a good result based upon the facts of the case." And obviously, it's an unfortunate situation for everybody. For everybody, I'm pretty sure Wendy came out on top, literally. But I think that this guilty plea and recommendation we've made to the court will be beneficial for all parties involved. Beneficial is a choice word for a murder case. Okay, Wendy is a murderer. And if you think Keno's family was happy about it, absolutely not. They did not feel like justice was served. His sister, Sandra Butler, did not sugarcoat her feelings, telling reporters, I feel like she should have done 40 or more. She deserved life. And can you blame her? Her brother was killed in his own home in a fight that escalated to him being literally crushed to death. And the family's pain didn't end there. According to Sandra, their mother still calls out for Keno every single night. Night after night, calling for the son who's no longer there. While that was messy, at least Wendy did own up to it right away and call 911. It took a little while longer to unzip the details of this next case. We're taking a trip down to Florida. Ah, yes. Good old Florida. Always here to deliver. So we've got Sarah Boone. She's 46 at the time, and she was living in Winter Park, a suburb near Orlando, with her boyfriend, 42-year-old George Torres Jr. Both had children from previous relationships. And they had a history, okay? And not the cute we met on Tinder kind. Not even just the makeup and breakup kind. We're talking mugshots. Both of them had several domestic violence charges against each other. Sarah had been arrested once for alleged battery by strangulation, foreshadowing, back in July of 2018, and George had been arrested 4 times for allegedly beating up Sarah. In one of those incidents, George reportedly punched her in the ear, but she bailed him out every single time. I mean, toxic love, okay? Restraining orders were put in place, but they never stuck to them. They were just messy. You know the couple. We all know a couple like this. Anyway, cut to February 23rd, 2020, Winter Park. It's one of those nights where you're drinking wine, you're listening to music, doing puzzles, painting, you know, normal stuff. A night at home. But somehow, this evening ended in moidah. After their arts and crafts turned wine fest, they decided it would be hilarious if they played a game of hide and seek. 2 grown adults, very drunk adults, just having a gas. Actually, you don't even have to be drunk. My friends and I play kid games like that all the time, fully sober. It's fun. It's unhinged. But Sarah had her own wacky little idea that evening. She suggested George hop into a suitcase, and he did. I bet a lot of you just went, oh, I know where this is going. Yeah. This is the story. Sarah then thought it would be funny to zip the suitcase shut, so she did. And here's where things turned dark. Sarah picked up her phone and started recording George struggling. In the videos, yes, videos, plural, Sarah can be heard laughing and slurring her words, saying, "For everything you've done to me, fuck you, stupid. That's what you do when you choke me. That's what I feel like when you cheat on me." Listen, all valid points on her end, right? Both of them. Very toxic. Meanwhile, George is inside the suitcase and it's getting serious. He's yelling, "Sarah, Sarah, Sarah, I can't fucking breathe." And if you think that's bad, hold on. Sarah wasn't just recording. She moved the suitcase, like repositioned it for better angles. She zoomed in on it, giggling all the while, switching shots like she's directing her own indie revenge horror flick. George was the main star, struggling to say Sarah. And it's hard to understand. Like, recording is crazy. Like, girl, what were you planning to do with that? Snapchat it? And if that wasn't enough, at one point, George somehow got his fingers through the zipper trying to free himself, and Sarah, no lie, grabbed a baseball bat and hit his hand to shove it back inside like a fucked up game of whack-a-mole. And then, get this, she went upstairs and fell asleep. She slept the night away like a drunk baby. And the next morning, George was dead inside the suitcase. Sarah, Sarah, Sarah. When she wakes up that next morning, she calls 911 and blurted out, "My boyfriend's dead, and I don't know what happened," claiming he was purple and had blood coming out of his mouth. You know what? Actually, let me play you this 911 call.
911, what is the location of your emergency? 4748 France Court, apartment 3. 4748, what's the street name? France, Frantv. And the apartment number? 3. Is this a police or medical? My boyfriend is dead. Okay, send a line for the fire department. Do not hang up.
Fire risk. What's the location, Mercy?
Desk 32.
No, please don't leave.
4748 France Lane, apartment 3.
France Court.
France Court. Yes.
Okay, is this near Mackenzie Drive?
I don't know where that is.
Okay, fine, okay.
It's Hillwood Park Apartments.
Okay, 4748 France, correct?
Correct.
All right, correct. Now tell me exactly what happened there.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I put him in a suitcase and we were playing. And
Okay.
like kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep and I woke up and he was dead in the suitcase. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Right, okay, what's your apartment number?
3.
Apartment 3?
Yes, like he has like blood coming out of his mouth, and I don't know if like he had like an aneurysm or what happened.
Right, okay, all right, okay. Listen, we're getting help out there too. All right, okay. Okay,
Now?
Okay, yeah, man, listen, we're on our way out there. Okay, is he hanging from somewhere or what, ma'am?
No, I pulled him out of the suitcase. I tried giving him CPR.
Okay, so he was in a suitcase?
Yes, and I fell asleep.
Okay, how old is the boyfriend, ma'am? 42-year-old male. All right. Okay, we're sending help out there. Sheriff's House way out there?
Yes, I'm sorry?
Yeah, okay. All right, listen to me. Okay, I just need to confirm this one. All right, I understand. I just need to confirm this. Is he awake at all? Is he conscious at all?
No, he's purple.
Is he breathing?
No.
All right. I need you to get him on the floor, flat on his back for me, okay?
I did. I tried giving him CPR.
All right.
I tried giving him CPR.
Yeah, okay.
But nothing happened. He's purple.
Okay, listen to me. There's a defibrillator. I need you to get it for me, okay?
What is it?
You have an AED available?
No.
All right. Are you right by him now?
I'm sorry?
Are you right by him now?
Yes.
Okay. Lay him flat on his... Okay, ma'am, listen. So listen, is he cold and stiff?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he's not necessarily cold, but he's stiff.
Right, okay. All right, listen to me. Listen to me. I want you to lay him flat on his back for me on the floor.
I did.
Removing the pillows, okay?
Yes, I did.
All right, okay.
He's stiff and purple.
Right, okay, listen. Okay, man, that's fine. We're still going to do compressions on him, okay? All right? Place the heel of your hand on his breastbone, right in the center of the chest, right between the nipples.
Yes.
Put your other hand on top of that hand.
Baby, I'm telling you. Just like look at him, you can tell.
Okay. And?
Please. Okay, he just gurgled.
Okay. Listen to me. All right. I want you to place the heel of your hand. Okay, right between his chest, right between his breastbones.
Yes.
Put your other hand on top of that hand.
Yes.
We want to pump his chest on me hard and fast. Going to this twice per second.
I'm doing it again.
Okay, no, just keep on pumping. That's all you need to do for me. Keep on pumping his chest for me. I don't need you to stop and talk or anything. I just want you to count out loud for me, okay?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is nice.
Okay, ma'am, just keep on pumping his chest. That's all you need to do for me, okay?
Yes. Come on, please. Hurry up.
Okay, ma'am, they're driving here as fast as they can. Okay, don't stop to say hurry up. Just keep on pumping and counting.
I'm still doing it while I'm pumping you, okay?
Okay.
Still doing it.
All right, just continue pumping his chest. Count on a second count with you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Please hurry.
Okay, ma'am, they're getting here as fast as they can, okay?
He's stiff and he's purple.
Okay. Keep pumping his chest for me, ma'am.
I'm still doing it, okay? Still doing it. Just don't make me count.
Right, okay, that's fine. You're doing a good job. Just keep on doing it for me. That's all right. They're getting here as fast as they can, along with the sheriff's office also, okay?
Please.
Keep on pumping, ma'am. 1,
We were playing
2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep on pumping for me, ma'am.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Believe me, I'm doing it, okay? We were playing hide and seek.
Okay. All right, I understand. All right, just keep on pumping for me, okay? Okay.
Please hurry.
Right, okay.
Horrible. This is horrific. What happened? Like, what happened?
Okay, man, just keep on pumping his chest for me, okay? They're in the parking lot. They should be up there shortly, okay?
You put him in a suitcase. That's what happened.
I'm still doing it, okay?
All right, okay, good. And you found him in a suitcase, you said?
Yes. We were playing hide and seek last night. I fell asleep. I think they're here.
All right, just keep on pumping his chest until they take over.
What the fuck? I'm sorry. I needed to play the whole thing because I need you guys to know how insane that was. Like, literally, it's such a sad situation, but I'm sorry. She's a psychopath. She sounded so annoyed to have to do CPR. I mean, granted, she was probably in shock, but also you did that, girl. So responders show up and she immediately says, "Can I stop pumping now?" And there's another man there. Who? Sarah's ex-husband. I guess she called him over for moral support. So authorities arrive. Obviously, they find George deceased. They ask Sarah what happened, and she turns over her phone where they find all of the videos. In her police interview, Sarah told detectives she didn't even remember recording the videos. And while police queued up the videos for her to review, she got annoyed again. She's like, God, it's so long. We can't keep watching all of these. Is it long? Like, bitch, you're the one who filmed it. But the detectives were not having it. The medical examiner ruled George's death a homicide. Cause of death? Suffocation. Sarah was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. Next thing you know, Sarah's sitting in Orange County Jail with no bail. And from the jump, this trial was messier than a Mom Talk comment thread. First off, she went through 8 different lawyers. 8. 7 were court-appointed, and they all quit on the job. Some tapped out, citing irreconcilable differences, aka I cannot deal with this nutcase. Others just couldn't handle her. One lawyer, Frank Bankowitz, lawyer number 6, said she would call him 5 to 10 times a day. Baby, that's not legal defense. That's stalking your own attorney. Another lawyer said she straight up called him a dud and buffoon in open court. Imagine going to law school, passing the bar, and trying to defend a woman who killed her boyfriend with luggage and have her call you a buffoon in a courtroom. Eventually, the judge overseeing the trial, Michael Kierney, ran out of patience and decided enough was enough. He told Sarah that she had basically forfeited her right to court-appointed lawyers because she couldn't get along with any of them. A quote from the judge: "It has become apparent to the court that the defendant will not permit herself to be represented by anyone." Translation, girl, you're the problem, okay? You're the problem. It's you. So Sarah was forced to represent herself, fully entering her Elle Woods era. But wait, this is the best part. She wasn't going to just represent herself in silence. No. Sarah started sending the court handwritten letters that can only be described as feral. She wrote the judge a 58-page letter, and it was basically this like weird blend of complaints about her last attorney, Patricia Cashman, whom she described as snotty and unprofessional. It's fully, if you've ever seen Serial Mom, that's like I feel like she is Serial Mom, honestly. She included random excerpts from the Declaration of Independence and the Florida Constitution, as if George Washington was like gonna fucking pop up from the grave and declare a mistrial. She went through a glossary of legal terms because apparently she thought the judge needed tutoring. Oh, and maps. She even included maps of the United States and the world, showing where her supporters were writing her from. Me, when anyone tries to argue with me, I'm like, listen, we've got cult babes near and far, okay? And they're on my side. Oh, and she signed it with a heart and wrote, "Confused cat meme." Yes, thank you. Honestly, love the energy. Wrong setting, but I love the go get 'em attitude. Now, at some point during this chaos, specifically July 2024, Sarah actually submitted a letter to the court that was basically a hand-drawn advertisement for a lawyer, like a lost dog poster, but for legal counsel. The media got a hold of it and clowned her immediately, but somehow it worked and she ended up getting another attorney, this time named James Owens. And Owens tried to work out a plea deal, basically manslaughter, 15 years. Which is not bad considering the suitcase murder evidence, the videos of her laughing while it was going on. Our gal Sarah said no. Why? Well, because Sarah believed in herself. After so many delays, COVID, hurricanes, Hurricane Milton was a factor, the trial finally started on October 14th of 2024. A jury of 6 with 8 alternates because Florida doesn't trust people to stay on task. Prosecutor William J. pulled 0 punches. He laid it out. The defendant zipped George Torres shut in a suitcase and left him to take his final breaths on this earth alone. They wheeled in the actual suitcase, they played the videos, and brought in 14 different witnesses. Also, I just have to tell you guys, if you've read articles about this story, it's spelled Jorge, but the news always reports on his name like George. So apparently that's how he pronounced it. Anyway, so they show all this evidence, and Sarah's defense, battered woman syndrome, which to be clear is a real and serious thing. But the problem was the videos of their toxic fights and the suitcase videos. It's hard to look sympathetic when you're filming and mocking someone that is quite literally begging for air. After less than 2 hours of deliberation, the jury came back guilty. Second-degree murder. And on December 2nd of 2024, Sarah was sentenced to life in prison. She could have taken 15 years and she chose life in prison. At her sentencing, Sarah gave a 20-minute rambling speech that was an event, as you can imagine. In her higher-pitched, innocent, I'm just a girl tone, she started with a Pinterest-inspired story about the Japanese art of kintsugi. Meanwhile, George's family's there. Victoria Torres, his sister, gave a heart-wrenching victim impact statement. Sarah has caused a lifetime of pain. Even a suitcase is triggering for me now. I mean, fuck, imagine every time you pack for vacation, you're reminded of your brother's last moments. So you'd think after being sentenced to life in prison and zipping your boyfriend into a suitcase and leaving him there to die, you might take a seat, you might reflect. But Sarah Boone? She said no. Instead, a few days later, after getting that life sentence, Sarah sat down with her favorite weapon, a pen, and she wrote a 27-page handwritten letter directly to Judge Michael Kierney, and it was spicy. No, dear honorable judge, respectfully, no. Sarah came out swinging, accusing Judge Kierney of having a blindness and claimed he was impartial. Clear error and full-blown unfair bias, and my personal favorite, black robe disease. Like it's an actual medical condition you get from too much gavel banging. She told him, for me, unfortunately, and regardless of whom I had to speak on my behalf, or the number of, your ignorant mind was already made up. You'd think he's going to read that and be like, all right, she's right. She managed to squeeze in a forgiveness tour mid-rant in the most non-forgiving tone you can imagine. I forgive you, Judge Kierney. Yeah, no, she's not talking about asking for forgiveness. She's saying she forgives them. I forgive the jury because she said they were weary from confusion and dysfunction and just wanted to go home after 2 weeks of trial. I forgive George. And here it gets extra grim. She literally wrote, I forgive George for beating me senseless, for trying to sleep because I had to go to work or my son's field trip the next day. I forgive George for destroying my reputation and integrity, for my M for murderer scarlet letter. Yeah, that's right. She compared herself to Hester Prynne from the Scarlet Letter. You read a lot of classics in prison, okay? Sarah fully tried to spin her life sentence as a blessing. She closed it out by saying, from this, in their brash, misguided, corrupted decision, I was wrongfully judged a murderer instead of a survivor. For this, all is forgiven. I didn't lose. God just wanted me to win in a different way. Freedom in forgiveness. And she's now a motivational speaker. Cool, babes, in her mind, at least. Sarah Boone is currently doing life in the Florida Department of Corrections, probably still writing long letters to anyone who will pretend to read them. And guess what? She's planning to appeal her case to the Supreme Court. Yeah, The Supreme Court. She's taking it to the top, baby. The one that deals with constitutional crises and landmark national law. While Sarah was busy penning her 27-page letter, George Torres Jr.'s family was trying to pick up the shattered pieces of their lives because, let's not forget, George wasn't just the guy in the suitcase. He was a person with a family, with children, a life, a history. So if you ever find yourself drunk and silly and someone suggests getting in a suitcase for fun, let this be your giant blinking neon no sign, babes. All right, we've seen rage, we've seen revenge, but what happens when love, caretaking, and total burnout turn deadly? Let's stay in Florida for a bit and talk about Margaret Kierney and a pillow that did a whole lot more than provide neck comfort. Now, this one's a little different. Less rage, less passion, more I can't take it anymore energy. So Margaret Kierney, 69 years old, had been taking care of her 72-year-old boyfriend who was dying of terminal rectal cancer at the time. Hospice care, the whole heartbreaking package. The couple had been together for 15 years, but by December 20th of 2023, Margaret confessed she was over it. Lots going on in the early 2020s, as we can imagine. Everyone was home together. Toxic relationships were probably at an all-time high. According to the affidavit, she was disgusted with the caregiving, particularly the messiness that comes with a failing body, which you can't blame her. If you're in that situation, it can be really hard. She told friends she couldn't do it anymore, telling them he was defecating on himself, and complained about having to wait for his nurse. But on the night of December 20th, Margaret decided she couldn't wait any longer. That night, she took a pillow and held it over her boyfriend's face for 5 whole minutes and laid next to him while he died. 5 minutes. Not a second or two, a full 5. And then she got up and tucked him in under a blanket to make it look like he passed naturally during the night. The next morning, the hospice nurse showed up for the usual care routine, and Margaret played it cool, calm as can be. Oh no, he passed peacefully. But Marge just couldn't keep it quiet. Not even a little. Later that night, she called a longtime friend, someone she'd known for about 30 years, and casually dropped that she smothered her boyfriend with a pillow and he was gone. Like this was gossip over wine, not a full-on murder confession. Her friend, to her credit, was like, girl, what? Like, what do you mean? And didn't waste any time. She went straight to the authorities, and the next day, she gave them the entire story. The cops had already checked out the death the day before and thought nothing suspicious had happened, just a regular, sad hospice passing. But thanks to Margaret's oversharing, they decided, maybe let's dig a little deeper here. So the next day, law enforcement set up a controlled call. Same friend, but this time, with police listening in. Margaret, not sensing anything amiss, casually confirmed the whole thing. Again, saying she felt better now that it was done. No regret, just pure relief. Oh, and in case the pillow thing wasn't bad enough, Margaret also admitted to over-medicating her boyfriend with liquid morphine before smothering him. Like, she tried Plan A, a chemical speed-up, and when that didn't get the results she wanted fast enough, she went with Plan B, the pillow. By now, the sheriff's office had a pretty clear picture. Margaret was arrested and charged with first-degree premeditated murder, which in Florida is no joke. No bond, straight to jail. Margaret's defense was to frame it as a mercy killing, like she was putting him out of his misery. But prosecutors weren't buying the Floridian Dr. Kevorkian angle. To them, it looked a whole lot less like mercy and a whole lot more like premeditated moidah, with a side of burnout and zero impulse control. Now, before we throw the whole book at Margaret and move on, let's pause for a second, because this case lit up a very real, very messy conversation about caregiver burnout. And honestly, it's one that we don't talk about enough. Katie Williams, who works in advocacy for aging care in Tampa, weighed in after the arrest and said something that hits. A lot of family caregivers will get to a point of burnout where they're just not taking care of themselves anymore. They almost can't think clearly about their situation. Burnout that deep, that kind of exhaustion, physical, emotional, spiritual, it can do weird things to your brain, especially when you're the only one changing diapers, juggling meds, making meals, barely sleeping, and all of that while watching someone you love fade away slowly every single day. Now, I also want to be clear, burnout is not an excuse for murder, but it is a red flag. And in Margaret's case, it sounds like she hit that flag and just kept driving. That's why having available resources is so important. Things like in-home care, hospice services, assisted living, and caregiver support groups. All that needs to be more accessible. You're not supposed to white knuckle it through end-of-life caregiving like it's a one-person war. Now, that story was dark and very poignant. Shit gets real in situations like that. But this next case has the kind of details that sound made up, but it's also very real. We're going to head to Everett, Washington, where a woman's assets turned deadly. And I wish I was joking, okay? Donna Marie Lange was 50 years old, living in a mobile home with her 51-year-old boyfriend. On the night of January 12th, 2013, the couple was drinking. Well, actually, they were drinking, okay? They were wasted. Witnesses said they'd been drinking for hours, and at least a couple of people in the home admitted they'd also been smoking marijuana. That's right, the devil's lettuce. The evening wasn't exactly chill, though. It got loud. Neighbors said they heard two separate screaming matches, one of which reportedly ended with Donna throwing her boyfriend down in the back of the trailer. Now, Donna was around 5'6" and weighed 192 pounds. Her boyfriend was just an inch taller and about 175 pounds, so she could definitely take him. But it didn't end there. Witnesses claimed they actually saw Donna get on top of him, like straddle him. She planted her chest over his face, and he was heard yelling, "Get off of me," before going silent. And then Donna allegedly passed out right on top of him. 911 was called, and by the time deputies showed up around 12:45 a.m., medics were already performing CPR, but it was too late. He was declared dead at the hospital not long after. According to the incident report, he was found clutching strands of hair matching Donna's. Witnesses said it was hard to move her body off of his because of her size. One witness bluntly told investigators she smothered him to death. And here's where it gets real messy. When police interviewed Donna at the hospital where she was taken for a facial injury, unclear of if it happened during the fight, I mean, she was clearly drunk. She told them she didn't remember anything. She said she loved the victim and that they had only been shacking up for about a month. According to the actual report, her words were something along the lines of, "I'm so sorry if he's dead, but I don't know anything about it." Which, I mean, girl, come on. Have you never seen a Dateline episode before? And then there was even more drama because one of the reasons Donna may have snapped was because her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend was in their mobile home that night. At first, police were like, this is a murder case. They recommended second-degree murder charges, meaning they thought it wasn't an accident. But later, things got softened to second-degree manslaughter, which again, to break that down, is basically legal talk for like, okay, maybe she didn't plan it or mean for it to kill him, but she definitely should have known that was dangerous, which, yes, suffocating somebody with your body is generally not safe, not a safe thing to do. But believe it or not, boobs have been used as deadly weapons before. A few times, actually. Back in May of 2012 in Germany, a man named Tim Schmidt almost died in what can only be described as the weirdest weaponization of cleavage I've ever heard of. Tim was a 30-year-old lawyer, and according to him, his ex-girlfriend, Franziska Henson, age 33, wasn't exactly taking their recent breakup well. In fact, he claimed she was jealous of his booming legal career, and that jealousy allegedly turned homicidal. According to Tim's court testimony, he says the two were hooking up, yes, post-breakup hookup, always a solid choice, when things took a turn. He was kissing her breast, as one does, when she suddenly grabbed his head and shoved it between her 38 double D tits with all her force. And at first, he's like, hell yeah, just thought it was part of the moment, right? Like some kind of surprise kink. But very quickly, things got not so sexy. He realized he couldn't breathe, and he started to turn blue. He couldn't pull away. He couldn't free himself, and genuinely thought, this is it. I'm gonna die via tit smothering. But he managed to wriggle out from under her cleavage trap, and he got away. Just barely. He ran completely naked to a neighbor's place, and the neighbor was like, "Sir, call the police right now," which he did. This is all on record, by the way. He testified to this in court. Tim told the court that later, when he confronted Franziska about it on the phone and asked why she tried to smother him to death, she allegedly responded, Treasure, I wanted your death to be as pleasurable as possible. I mean, I was speechless when I first read that. That is some Lifetime movie porn star villain energy. Franziska, for her part, denied everything and said it wasn't an attempted murder, but prosecutors weren't having it. She was formally charged with attempted manslaughter with a weapon. And yes, her tits were legally categorized as a weapon. There's no public record confirming if she was ever convicted, but the fact that this made it to court and the details Tim gave under oath makes it one of the wildest crimes of passion stories out there. Like, did she really try and commit a boob hit? Or was she just caught in a moment of passion? I mean, we've all probably, I'll speak for myself, we've all done things during sex, right? And afterwards we're like, oh, that was actually crazy. Why did I do that? But it happened. Back in 2010, a UK woman, unnamed in reports, probably for good reason, was getting intimate with her boyfriend, and everything seemed consensual. And in her words, they were in the middle of having sex, normal stuff, until suddenly things got a little too smothery. According to reports, she had 40 double L sized breasts, each boob allegedly the size of a small dog, okay? Hot dog each side. And during sex, she apparently straddled his face with them. Now, to her, the guy's reaction, which was apparently flailing, looked like enthusiastic participation. She's like, oh yeah, he loves it. But then he stopped moving. She realized something was off when her partner was no longer responding. He wasn't flailing anymore. He wasn't doing anything. He had stopped breathing. She immediately panicked and thought, oh my God, I killed him. But thankfully, the man regained consciousness after she pulled away. No CPR needed, no ambulances, no formal charges, but one hell of a wake-up call. And probably a story he told his buddies for a long time. The couple, needless to say, broke up shortly after, but I want to go back to Florida really quick because I want to talk about boobs as weapons again. Back in the mid-90s, a soon-to-be married physical therapist named Paul Shimkonis went out with his boys for a classic pre-wedding ritual, a night out at a club called Diamond Dolls, where bachelor parties were booming and boundaries were blurry. Paul claimed he was just trying to enjoy his last wild night out before tying the knot, but his memory of the night didn't involve free drinks or wild stories. It involved a stripper and a stiff neck. You see, that night, none other than Miss Tawny Peaks, a larger-than-life adult film actress and entertainer, was working the Diamond Doll stage. At the time, she was famous for her surgically enhanced 60 Triple H breasts, also reported as 69 Double H, depending on the day, and the bra. And Paul claimed that during her dance, Tawny slammed her breast onto his head, allegedly hard enough to cause whiplash. He said it wasn't sexy, it was violent, and he filed a lawsuit, not just against Tawny, but against the entire club. Instead of hashing it out quietly in court like normal people, they took it to television. That's right, all parties agreed to settle the case on the People's Court. Before it aired, fans could watch a preview video on the People's Court online and vote who they thought should win. And the internet had thoughts. By the time it aired, 77% of online viewers sided with Tawny Peaks, and, well, so did the judge. The judge had Tawny appraised by a female bailiff in a segment that lives somewhere between surrealism and softcore absurdity, and then he ruled the breasts were not dangerous. Case dismissed. Paul got nothing but a neck brace and a forever place in internet weird history. But Tawny wasn't done writing headlines. She retired in 1999 and had her implants surgically removed, and in true legend fashion, auctioned them off on eBay. And one of them was bought by, I swear I'm not making this up, GoldenPalace.com, the chaotic online casino that spent the early 2000s hoarding bizarre memorabilia. They dropped a cool $16,766 on one of her used implants. That means her boobs caused a lawsuit and paid her rent, which is honestly a slay. We'll give it to her. So what have we learned today, Cult Babes? Love is patient, love is kind, until it's fed up and holding a pillow or a suitcase or a big rack. Whether it's rage, revenge, burnout, or delusion, this proves you don't need a weapon or even your bare hands to kill someone. I'll see you next time, and until next time, sometimes your greatest assets are deadlier than you think. Goodbye.